Do you recall those times in high school or college where you were forced to collaborate on a group project and there was always that one person who proved to be utterly unreliable? I certainly do. In college, during one of my final semester group projects, I had the unfortunate experience of dealing with such a person. Despite their assurances to complete their assigned section, they consistently failed to deliver. They made promises such as, "Oh, I'll do it tonight," or "Oh, don't worry, I'll get it done," and they never did. Even when they did submit their work, it needed serious revisions. But why am I bringing up the most excruciating parts of group projects in school in a Star Wars video? Let me explain. But before I explain, please leave a like and a comment down below. Make sure to subscribe because I really enjoy making content for you guys and appreciate the support. Initially, I had planned to create a video about the Mando and Grogu movie. However, as more news surfaced about it, along with the Rey movie, a question slowly began to creep into my mind. What the f*** is going on at Lucasfilm? In the beginning of January, news surrounding the Rey movie became more and more controversial as the film's director made some comments about the film that I've already sort of covered in a previous video. Check it out. Yet, Lucasfilm was quick to respond by announcing a Mandalorian and Grogu movie? This is pretty weird considering that this is something that you would have saved for, a Star Wars celebration. Now, reputable leakers online are suggesting that there's in fact 2 Mando movies in the works, one of which just being the season 4 finale up on the big screen, and there may actually be a trilogy of Mando movies in the works. Wait, hold on a second. What about the Rey movie? Oh, it's delayed. Is it canceled? Or is it just put on hold? Holdo. Apologies for my poor attempt at comedy, but again, what the f*** is going on with Lucasfilm and what the hell is going on with Star Wars? Will we actually see these movies or any of the other ones that Lucasfilm has announced? More importantly, will they be any good? It's possible, highly unlikely, but the studio has a habit of announcing projects that fade into obscurity within a couple of weeks. What happened to the Rian Johnson trilogy, the Taika Waititi movie, Rangers of the New Republic, the Lando movie or TV show or whatever the hell it is? What about that show, A Droid Story? What's going on with that? Not to mention, what about all the canceled films like Rogue Squadron or the Boba Fett movie? Now, yes, Boba Fett was turned into a TV show like the Kenobi movie did with the Kenobi series, but still, why announce all these projects if you're not actually going to make them? As mentioned earlier, Lucasfilm seems to be struggling with keeping their promises, much like that unreliable person in a group project. Even when they do deliver, it's usually underwhelming at best. The sequel trilogy was a mess, Mando Season 1 was decent, Season 2 had its share of problems, and Season 3 was downright painful. Ahsoka was lackluster, Boba Fett was a joke.
Like a bantha. Yes?
Kenobi was a disaster, Bad Batch fell flat, Visions and Tales of the Jedi were easily forgettable, and Andor was the only bright spot in the franchise for quite some time. I'm not optimistic about Season 2, but let's see how that unfolds. The point that I'm trying to make is that with all the Star Wars content being made, ranging in quality, I'm finding it harder and harder to actually call myself a fan. If you haven't watched the movie Tick, Tick, Boom, I strongly recommend it. But there's a scene in the film where the main character, playwright Jonathan Larson, portrayed by Andrew Garfield, participates in a focus group to make some extra cash. In the scene, Larson and the other group attendees are asked a series of questions. Questions like, when you think of America, what comes to mind? Despite the vagueness of the questions, there is a stark contrast between Larson's responses and the other attendees' responses.
You just throwing out some ideas when you hear me say the word America.
The Bill of Rights.
Mm-hmm.
The right thing to do.
The Constitution?
Yes.
Yeah.
An open road at sunset. Wind in your hair. Nothing in your way except horizon. The beating heart of the nation.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
That's absolutely what it is.
This is what modern day Star Wars feels like. They're movies and TV shows that are written by a focus group who only understands Star Wars on a surface level. Now, tell me, what do you think when I say Star Wars? That no matter how far you may fall, you can always be redeemed, and that optimism is, I think of lightsabers, X-Wings, Boba Fett, Darth Vader, the Death Star, cute creatures and robots. Oh, it's R2-D2 and C-3PO. Case in point, Ahsoka Episode 5. What was the whole point of the episode besides having Hayden Christensen reprise his role as Anakin Skywalker? Hey guys, remember the Clone Wars? Remember Captain Rex? Remember Darth Vader? Ooh, look, he's got a red lightsaber like that poster that we saw that one time for Revenge of the Sith. Or how about the entire Kenobi show just being created to have Obi-Wan and Vader fight again, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I was actually asked when episode 5 of Ahsoka was premiering why I wasn't watching the show. I told this person that I felt like Star Wars was being milked dry and I'm not really following it anymore. To their response, yeah, I don't care if they're milking it. As long as I'm seeing lightsabers and spaceships, I'm happy. I'm not joking, that is actually something somebody told me and I nearly lost all of my brain cells. The point that I'm trying to make is that Star Wars feels like it's just surface level content right now without actually giving us any deeper narratives to latch onto. The franchise feels like it lacks a lot of purpose and much needed direction as well. What are we building to? What are we trying to establish in this galaxy far, far away? You might say we're building towards Thrawn, like Thanos. But Thrawn is no Thanos, nor does anybody care as much. There is no creative drive or passion behind the franchise anymore. It feels like Star Wars as a whole has become a fast food restaurant. It's not particularly any good for you, or will satisfy you in any other way than just filling a hole.
That's what she said.
If you're actually somebody who likes modern day Star Wars, more power to you. I wish I can enjoy it as much as you can. However, I gotta ask, why would anybody care about Rey outside of the sequel trilogy? Is she really a character that anybody has any attachment to? What is Rey's character really outside of being extremely strong in the Force and being liked by everyone? I would argue that the reason why so many people went and saw the sequel trilogy films was just to see the OT characters once again. Mando had some character development in Season 1, but that was quickly dropped by Season 2. Why would anybody go see these characters in movies outside of the Star Wars brand? Unfortunately, if Star Wars keeps going down the path that it is currently on, it's going to keep losing interest. For example, after the major disappointment of Kenobi, I turned to the EU to see what Kenobi was up to between A New Hope and Revenge of the Sith. Eventually, I started to read other EU books and realized that the stories and narratives and characters that I was looking for were there. Also, with the more Star Wars being put out, I'm starting to turn to other franchises that aren't so oversaturated, such as Dune. Honestly, I can't be the only one who's doing this as well. I'm somebody that loves Star Wars, but it's getting harder and harder to call myself a fan. I want the franchise to succeed and will champion it when it does. However, the shows and movies that Disney is putting out are far from great. With every piece of Star Wars content being put out, the franchise is starting to turn into my grandmother's cat. It's too old, pumped full of drugs to keep the poor thing alive, and whenever it looks at you, it's begging to be put down. Thank you so much for watching. Please sure to like and subscribe for more. Leave a comment down below and I'll catch you guys later.